Hello, dreamers of sleepy science. Welcome back to the quiet edge of the cosmos, the place where science meets imagination and where the universe itself begins to whisper its most mysterious secrets. Before we begin tonight's journey, take a deep breath. Let your body relax. The space around you is calm. The hum of the stars is still. And somewhere, far beyond what your eyes can see, countless versions of you might be doing exactly the same thing. Breathing, listening, wondering. Tonight, we explore one of the most fascinating and haunting questions in modern physics. Are there other versions of you in the universe? Is this life just one thread in a much greater tapestry? A single vibration in an infinite symphony of possibilities? The idea of parallel realities, also called the multiverse, is not just science fiction anymore. It comes from deep within the mathematics of quantum mechanics, the branch of physics that governs the smallest pieces of existence. According to the strange logic of the quantum world, particles can exist in many states at once. An electron can spin up and down simultaneously. A photon can travel through two paths at the same time. Only when we observe them do they choose one reality over another. But what if they don't actually choose? What if both outcomes happen and the universe simply splits, creating two versions of reality instead of one? That idea, proposed by physicist Hugh Everett in 1957, became known as the many worlds interpretation. It suggests that every possible outcome of every event actually occurs somewhere in another universe. If you flipped a coin and it landed heads here, there is another you in another reality where it landed tails. Every decision, every breath, every thought may ripple through existence, creating endless branches of possibility. At first, it sounds impossible, but the more physicists study the quantum world, the harder it becomes to deny that something like this might be real. When NASA's experiments observe subatomic particles, they see probabilities, not certainties. The equations describe waves of possibilities that only collapse when measured, as though observation itself creates the version we experience. If that's true, perhaps all the other versions still exist, unobserved, but real. Parallel universes, layered like reflections in an infinite mirror. Imagine for a moment that you could step outside of your own timeline, to float in the quiet between worlds. You would see countless paths branching in every direction. In one, you chose differently. In another, you never made that choice at all. In some, your life ended early. In others, it continued longer, shaped by new circumstances and endless combinations of chance. And far, far beyond, there might be worlds where even the laws of physics are different, where light bends differently, where gravity dances to another rhythm, where time itself breathes in and out. To the human mind, it's overwhelming, but to the universe, it's simply natural. Reality might not be a single thread, but a woven fabric of every possible pattern. And somewhere within that infinite weave, there may be versions of you looking back, wondering if you exist in their sky. It's both humbling and comforting, because if there truly are infinite realities, then nothing is ever truly lost. Every possibility, every life, every dream continues somewhere, in some form. Even when something ends here, it might begin again elsewhere. In a universe without limits, endings are simply transitions. As you breathe, imagine that every breath an echo, not just here, but across endless versions of yourself. Each exhale is mirrored by another, each thought reflected in another mind you'll never meet. The boundaries between you and the cosmos begin to blur. You are not just one person. You are a constellation of possibilities, all existing together, all whispering softly across the fabric of existence. So close your eyes and let the thoughts settle. Maybe this isn't the only version of you listening tonight. Maybe another you is hearing these same words in a slightly different way, in a slightly different world. And maybe that's the real secret of the universe. Not that it repeats, but that it never stops becoming. Sleep now, traveler between worlds. The next reality awaits. To understand how the idea of parallel realities emerged, we must return to the smallest stage of all, the quantum world. Here, the rules we know no longer apply. Objects behave as both waves and particles. Causality becomes uncertain, and even the act of observing changes what is observed. This is where modern physics, and perhaps the nature of reality itself, begins to blur into mystery. When NASA and other research centers study subatomic particles using massive accelerators or satellite detectors, they find that these particles do not exist in one place at a time. Instead, they exist in superposition, a cloud of possibilities. Only when they are measured do they appear to choose one outcome. For example, an electron might be spinning clockwise and counterclockwise simultaneously until it is observed. But if every outcome is equally real, what happens to the other possibilities when we see just one? Do they vanish, or do they continue elsewhere? This question gave birth to Everett's many worlds interpretation. In his theory, every possible outcome happens, each in its own universe. Reality then does not collapse, it divides. Every decision, every particle interaction, every moment in time creates new branches, new universes growing like leaves on an infinite tree. From your smallest choices to the cosmic events of stars colliding, every possibility becomes real somewhere. There may be versions of you who made different choices, walked different paths, and became entirely different people, all coexisting across dimensions beyond our perception. It's a difficult idea to visualize, but the mathematics supports it. Quantum equations do not describe a single result. They describe an entire landscape of outcomes. The world we experience is simply one slice of that vast field. NASA's quantum experiments aboard the International Space Station, as well as Earth-based labs, continue to test the strange nature of entanglement, the invisible connection between particles that remain linked across any distance. When one particle changes, the other instantly reacts, even if they are separated by light years. This spooky action at a distance, as Einstein called it, suggests that information transcends space, and possibly even universes. Some physicists have begun to wonder, could entanglement be the thread that ties these parallel realities together? Could every version of you, every branch of your existence, still be connected through this invisible web, vibrating across dimensions like a single string, playing many notes at once? Thought is staggering, but also strangely serene. If everything that can happen does happen, and every version of you remains somehow linked, then you are never truly separate from yourself, or from anything at all. Cosmology adds another layer to this mystery. When NASA maps the cosmic background radiation, the ancient light left over from the Big Bang, they find patterns that hint at something beyond. Tiny irregularities, strange cold spots, and unusual alignments that suggest our universe might not be alone. If the Big Bang was not a unique event, but one of many, then our universe could be just one bubble in a sea of infinite cosmic foam. Each bubble a different universe, expanding quietly beside ours. In some of those universes, the stars may never have formed. In others, gravity might be stronger or weaker, or time itself might flow in reverse. And somewhere, among those endless variations, there may be countless Earths, each slightly different, each carrying versions of you who lived other lives. One small change in the early universe could have rewritten everything. The path of galaxies, the shape of atoms, even the thoughts forming now inside your mind. It's tempting to see this idea as abstract, but in truth, it is deeply human. We live every day surrounded by possibility. Choices made and unmade. Futures imagined and forgotten. The multiverse simply gives that feeling a physical form. It suggests that every what if we've ever wondered about might exist somewhere, waiting quietly in the dark. As you think about this, breathe slowly. Imagine the air around you filled with invisible reflections. Not ghosts, not illusions, but other versions of reality, humming just beyond reach. They are not far away. They exist beside you, layered within the same space, like pages in a book you can read only one at a time. And maybe, when you dream, you turn those pages, drifting between one universe and another, remembering fragments of lives you never lived. The boundaries between science and imagination grow softer here. And in that softness, something peaceful appears. Because if there are truly infinite versions of reality, then no experience is ever truly gone. Every love, every memory, every heartbeat echoes forever, somewhere, in some version of the infinite. The more scientists explore the nature of reality, the clearer it becomes that there may not be just one kind of universe. The multiverse, if it exists, could take many forms, each born from different principles, each offering its own reflection of existence. No single theory can explain them all, but together they form a quiet symphony of possibilities, whispering that what we see is only a fraction of what is. The first kind is the cosmological multiverse, the simplest and, in many ways, the most natural. According to cosmic inflation theory, the universe expanded faster than the speed of light in the moments after the Big Bang. That expansion might not have stopped everywhere at once. In some regions, it could still be happening, endlessly spawning new bubble universes, isolated pockets of space-time sealed off from one another by vast distances. Each bubble could have its own laws of physics, its own version of stars, galaxies, and matter. Our universe would simply be one bubble among countless others, floating in an infinite cosmic sea. NASA satellites like BMAP and Planck have mapped the faint glow of the early universe, the cosmic microwave background, and found small irregularities, slight ripples that could be the fingerprints of other bubbles brushing against ours. They are not proof, but hints, gentle suggestions that the cosmos may be far larger than we ever imagined. If those hints are real, then everything we know, every atom, every memory, every star, could be part of just one tiny region in an endless ocean of creation. Then comes the quantum multiverse, born from the mathematics of quantum physics. Here, every possible outcome of every event happens, each in its own branch of reality. Your life is one of infinite variations, endlessly unfolding in different ways. There may be a universe where you took another path, where you never met someone you love, or where you became someone else entirely. Every particle, every decision, every heartbeat splits the universe into more versions of itself. It is an unsettling thought, but also a comforting one. If all realities exist, then no single one is ever truly lost. The mathematical multiverse takes the idea even further. It suggests that all structures that can exist mathematically also exist physically. In this view, numbers are not just tools for describing the universe. Every consistent equation defines its own reality. A universe where gravity is twice as strong, or where atoms behave differently, could exist simply because its mathematics is possible. The logic of existence becomes infinite. Every pattern that can be written is written somewhere in some version of the real. Mathematics, not matter, becomes the ultimate substance of the cosmos. Finally, there is the simulated multiverse, a theory that feels almost philosophical. If it is possible for intelligent beings to create simulated realities, detailed, self-contained worlds indistinguishable from our own, then statistically, it is more likely that we are living in one of those simulations than in the original base universe. Computers grow more powerful every year. Artificial intelligence learns to mimic consciousness more closely with each passing moment. If advanced civilizations exist elsewhere, and NASA's search for exoplanets suggests they might, what would stop them from creating simulated universes of their own? Worlds within worlds, each unaware of the other, each believing itself to be real. This idea is unsettling, but it also offers something strangely poetic. If we are a simulation, then the code that defines us must have come from somewhere, from a consciousness, a mind, a purpose. And that in itself is a kind of creation story. It means that even within artificial reality, wonder survives. Even in a programmed cosmos, mystery remains. When you think about these possibilities, the cosmic, the quantum, the mathematical, the simulated, it's easy to feel small. But size is irrelevant in a reality without limits. If infinite universes exist, then you are not a fragment. You are infinity itself, expressed in one form for one fleeting moment. Your life is not just a single path through time. It's one thread in an endless tapestry of existence, woven together across dimensions beyond comprehension. As you breathe, imagine that tapestry, layers upon layers of light and motion, universes touching and overlapping, all humming with quiet energy. You are part of that harmony. Every thought, every dream, every heartbeat adds a note to it. The multiverse does not separate you from creation. It includes you in all of it. So rest now. You are not alone in your timeline. You are infinite, existing in countless variations, all dreaming together across the endless field of beat. And somewhere, another you is doing the same, wondering about you, just as you wonder about them. Human consciousness is perhaps the strangest bridge between the visible and invisible world. It is through awareness that the idea of parallel realities becomes more than theory. It becomes experience. While science searches for evidence in equations and telescopes, the human mind has always sensed something beyond a single version of existence. Dreams, déjà vu, intuition, memory. These fleeting experiences hint at connections we cannot yet explain. Some physicists have begun to wonder whether the mind itself might have quantum foundations. In quantum mechanics, particles can be connected through entanglement, influencing one another instantly across vast distances. If the building blocks of matter behave this way, could the same be true for the neurons and energy that form thought? Could consciousness be the field where all these parallel realities overlap? The quiet point where infinite versions of you share the same spark of awareness? No experiment has yet proved this. NASA's studies of consciousness focus on biology, not metaphysics. But quantum biology, a new, growing science, suggests that the subatomic rules of physics may influence living systems. In photosynthesis, in the navigation of migratory birds, even in the behavior of DNA, quantum effects appear to play a role. If nature uses quantum mechanics to sustain life, then perhaps consciousness, the most delicate form of life, could exist partly in the quantum realm as well. And if that is true, then awareness may not be limited to one universe. Your mind, existing at the edge of physics and perception, might resonate across dimensions, like a single melody played on many instruments at once. Each you, in each reality, could share that melody, faintly aware of the others, connected through the invisible harmony of existence. It could explain why some dreams feel more real than reality itself, why moments of intuition seem to arrive from nowhere, as if whispered from another version of you that has already seen the outcome. There are ancient traditions that echo this idea in poetic ways. They speak of souls that live many lives, of realities that repeat and diverge, of the eternal cycle of being. Modern science does not confirm these beliefs, but it often finds itself arriving at similar mysteries by another path. For all its power, science still cannot define what consciousness is, or why it exists at all. We can measure brainwaves, but not awareness. We can map thoughts, but not the thinker. It is as though the mind is a window through which the universe observes itself, a reflection of something larger, older, and infinite. Imagine consciousness as a vast sea of light, each life a wave rising briefly, then merging back into the whole. If the multiverse is real, then each wave rises in many places at once, some higher, some softer, each carrying the same origin within it. That origin might be what we call self, but it may also be something far greater, a shared awareness that all realities draw from. You are not merely one person among many. You are one expression of the same universal awareness, scattered across an endless sky of worlds. Perhaps that is why silence feels familiar, because it is the language shared by all versions of you. In quiet, your mind aligns with itself, and for a moment, all the other versions of you drift closer, like stars pulling into alignment. The barriers between worlds soften, time slows, and the universe becomes what it always was. Not separate, not divided, but whole. You don't need proof to sense it. You can feel it when you dream, when you pause to breathe, when you look at the stars and feel something stir that words cannot capture. That is the same awareness that connects all realities, the quiet knowing that existence continues, endlessly, through every version of itself. So rest now. You do not exist in isolation. You exist everywhere consciousness is possible. And across infinite worlds, countless versions of you are falling asleep, sharing this same peace, this same soft rhythm of being. Sleep deeply. You are one mind among many, but all are one and the same. Dreams have always felt like secret doorways, fleeting moments when the boundaries of time, logic, and even identity begin to dissolve. You close your eyes, and the solid world fades. Gravity loosens its grip, memories rearrange themselves, and suddenly you are somewhere else. A place that feels real, yet utterly unfamiliar. Scientists describe dreams as the brain's way of processing memory and emotion, a neurological theater where past experiences are replayed and reorganized. But there is something about them that defies such simple explanations. Sometimes dreams seem to know more than we do. Sometimes they show us things that have not yet happened, or lives we never lived. Could it be that in dreams, we brush against other versions of reality, other versions of ourselves? Modern neuroscience can explain what happens in the brain when we dream, but not why dreams feel so real. Electrical impulses fire through networks of neurons, stimulating sensations, emotions, and memories. Yet those signals produce entire worlds, textures, light, voices, and landscapes, detailed enough to convince us completely while we are inside them. When you wake, the memory of that dream fades, but the feeling remains, as though you've just returned from somewhere far away. Some researchers in quantum cognition propose that consciousness might sample many possibilities at once, even during sleep. In that state between awareness and oblivion, the brain could be resonating across multiple versions of itself, drifting through nearby realities, the way radio signals overlap. Perhaps dreams are not mere illusions, but temporary windows into those parallel worlds. Each night, when the mind lets go of one reality, it might quietly slip into another, exploring alternate paths of existence, lives that could have been, futures that might still be. It's not proof, but it is a beautiful hypothesis, and one that matches the strange consistency of our most vivid dreams. Have you ever dreamed of a place you've never seen, yet somehow recognized? Or met someone who felt familiar, though you couldn't place them? If reality branches infinitely, then those moments may not be random at all. They could be fragments of memory from other versions of you, carried across the thin fabric that separates the worlds. NASA studies of sleep and cognition aboard the International Space Station reveal that dreams persist even in the absence of day and night. Astronauts report dreams of floating, falling, endless motion, reflections of their real environment, but also symbols of the mind's attempt to adjust to new physics. Perhaps the human brain adapts not just to gravity, but to existence itself, bending its perception to maintain balance between worlds. If consciousness is flexible enough to function in orbit, perhaps it's flexible enough to reach beyond our single reality. There are ancient stories, scattered across civilizations, that describe sleep as a journey of the soul. Modern science interprets that metaphorically, yet it remains curiously aligned with our experience. In sleep, we are travelers, unbound by time, unshackled by form, free to wander. If other realities exist, then dreaming could be the most natural bridge between them. Not a machine, not a portal, but a quiet act of consciousness tuning itself to the infinite. Imagine this now. As you drift closer to sleep, your mind begins to unfold. Thoughts become images. Images become places. Each breath draws you deeper into a landscape of your own creation. And yet, somehow, not entirely your own. You may find yourself walking through a city you have never seen, or standing beneath a sky with unfamiliar stars. Perhaps in that moment, you are not imagining. You are remembering. Not from this life, but from another. Not from this world, but from one that exists beside it. There is no need to prove it. You can simply let the idea comfort you that sleep is not an escape, but a return. A return to the wider field of existence, where all versions of you continue to dream together. When you wake, you bring back only fragments, echoes of infinite possibilities, but they are enough to remind you that you are larger than any single story. So close your eyes and drift. Let the worlds overlap. The dream you enter tonight might not be just a dream. It could be a reunion with another you, waiting patiently beyond the veil of consciousness. And as the night deepens, know that somewhere, in another world, another version of you is doing exactly the same, dreaming of you. If parallel universes truly exist, then something must separate them. Invisible boundaries that define one reality and protect it from another. Scientists call these boundaries cosmic horizons, and they represent the edge of what can ever be known. They are not walls made of matter, but limits created by the nature of light, gravity, and time itself. Even NASA's most powerful telescopes can only see so far. Beyond that distance, light has not yet had time to reach us. It's not that nothing exists beyond the horizon. It's simply that the universe hasn't yet allowed us to see it. But what if those horizons exist not just in space, but between worlds, between parallel realities themselves? Could there be invisible membranes, energy barriers, or folds in space-time that keep one version of the universe from colliding with another? The mathematics of string theory suggests it's possible. In this framework, our universe might be a brain, a three-dimensional surface floating in a higher dimensional space. There could be countless other brains beside ours, separated by distances smaller than an atom, vibrating in different frequencies of reality. We cannot see them because our senses are confined to the dimensions of our own brain. But if these membranes ever touched, even slightly, it could cause what physicists call a brain collision, a burst of unimaginable energy, perhaps even something like a new Big Bang. It's a staggering thought that the beginning of our universe might have been the moment two realities collided, releasing all the light and matter we know today. If that is true, then creation itself might not have been a singular event, but part of an ongoing cycle of contact between universes, worlds brushing against each other, exchanging fragments of existence and drifting apart again into silence. NASA cannot detect these boundaries directly, but there are clues in the sky that hint at something larger. When scientists study the cosmic microwave background, they find subtle anomalies, strange circular patterns, regions of unexpected temperature. Some researchers have speculated that these could be scars left by past collisions with other universes. No proof exists yet, but the possibility remains. The sky itself could carry the fingerprints of parallel worlds that once touched ours. If such boundaries exist, they may not be static. Some theories suggest they ripple, like the surface of an ocean, creating energy tunnels or temporary bridges between dimensions. At the quantum level, space-time is not smooth. It's filled with tiny fluctuations, constant motion, and random bursts of energy. Perhaps in these quantum storms, the walls between universes thin, just enough for information, or even particles, to leak through. If that happens, what passes between worlds may not be matter, but patterns, vibrations, or echoes of possibility. Could consciousness travel through such openings? Could dreams, intuition, or déjà vu be the faint imprint of a crossing? A brief resonance between one version of you and another? Physics cannot yet answer these questions, but the imagination can. And sometimes, imagination has a way of arriving at truths long before measurement can confirm. If the barriers between universes are real, they may not exist to keep us apart, but to keep us safe. Too much energy, too much overlap could shatter the stability of both worlds. So the cosmos maintains its balance with invisible distance, a quiet equilibrium between nearness and separation. Every universe hums in its own frequency, like instruments in an infinite orchestra, each playing a part in the same endless song. As you lie still, imagine those realities surrounding you. Countless layers of existence, humming softly, perfectly in tune. You cannot see them, but you can feel their presence in the calm between thoughts. That silence, the one that fills the space between breaths, is where universes align. You exist there too, as awareness, beyond body, beyond time. Every boundary that separates you from other versions of yourself is made not of walls, but of light. And just as light can bend, perhaps those barriers can bend too, letting a whisper, a memory, or a dream slip across the divide. If you've ever felt a sense of recognition for something you've never known, perhaps it's because another version of you is remembering the same moment in another world. So rest here, at the edge of what can be known. The horizons that limit vision do not limit imagination. The walls between universes are not there to imprison you. They are there to remind you that infinity is gentle, and that separation is only an illusion. Somewhere, on the other side of the invisible, another you is pausing now, sensing the same stillness, wondering if you exist. And in that shared wonder, the walls between you disappear. If there are countless realities, each layered upon the next like the pages of an infinite book, the question becomes inevitable. Could we ever turn the page? Could we cross from one universe to another, not in imagination, but in truth? For now, it remains beyond our reach. But physics, in its quiet precision, whispers that it might not be impossible. The key lies in one of the universe's most mysterious structures, the wormhole. A wormhole is a theoretical tunnel through space-time, a shortcut connecting distant points in the universe. It first appeared in Einstein's equations as a mathematical curiosity, a place where the geometry of the cosmos folds in on itself. If such a tunnel could exist, it might not only connect distant regions of our universe, but entirely different universes altogether. Imagine stepping into one point in space and emerging light years, or realities, away. The path would be curved, not straight. The journey would not take time, but transcend it. NASA and other observatories have searched for signs of wormholes, looking for the gravitational distortions or patterns of light that might reveal their presence. So far, there is no direct evidence. Yet, in the swirling chaos around black holes, the mathematics hints that they could exist, if only briefly, before collapsing again. Some physicists have suggested that microscopic wormholes may open and close constantly at the quantum level. Too small and too fast for us to see. They may even serve as the hidden threads that weave space-time together, a cosmic lace connecting all that exists. If that is true, then perhaps these tiny connections are the same pathways through which parallel realities could communicate. Energy, information, or even the subtle patterns of consciousness might flow through them. Faint exchanges between versions of the universe that would appear to us as coincidences, intuition, or déjà vu. You might never step through a wormhole physically, but perhaps your awareness already travels through one every time you dream, or remember, or imagine something that feels larger than life. Quantum tunneling, another strange phenomenon, also offers a glimpse of how barriers might be crossed. In the quantum world, particles sometimes pass through obstacles that should be impossible to penetrate. They don't climb over, they simply appear on the other side. No one fully understands how, only that it happens. It's as if, for a brief instant, they borrow energy from another universe, or slip through a dimension thinner than time. If matter can do this, perhaps the fabric of existence is more flexible than we think. Perhaps the same principle applies on scales we cannot yet imagine. The universe tunneling through itself, allowing worlds to touch for the briefest of moments before returning to stillness. If parallel universes ever interact, even slightly, the effects could ripple through reality in ways too subtle to measure. Tiny fluctuations in energy, strange alignments in cosmic radiation, or even improbable coincidences in human experience, all could be the fingerprints of brief crossing. NASA's instruments detect anomalies constantly, unexplained bursts of energy, patterns that repeat where they shouldn't, signals that seem to come from nowhere. Most are dismissed as noise, but maybe, every now and then, the universe hums a note from another version of itself, a tone that slips through the seams of creation, reminding us that the walls between realities are not perfect. And then, there is the question of consciousness. Could awareness itself be the bridge? Unlike matter, consciousness is not bound by mass or momentum. It flows freely, observing without being observed. If the mind is made of quantum processes, it might already exist across multiple realities, not divided but mirrored. In that sense, dreaming, imagination, and déjà vu might not just be internal experiences, but glimpses across the cosmic divide. Imagine for a moment, standing at the mouth of a wormhole. Around you, the stars bend into spirals of light. Time slows, space curves, and gravity dissolves into silence. Beyond that point lies another world, not above or below, but beside this one. You step forward, and for a moment, everything feels both strange and familiar. The air hums with recognition. You realize that you have not traveled somewhere new. You have come home to another version of yourself. Perhaps that is what the universe is doing every moment, folding into itself, breathing, creating endless reflections of the same truth. The multiverse is not a collection of separate worlds. It is one vast consciousness, dreaming infinite variations of being. And through that dream you drift. An explorer, not of space, but of possibility. So breathe gently. The walls between worlds are thinner than you think. They are made of silence, of thought, of wonder. You do not need to find them. You are already walking between them. Every moment you imagine, remember, or dream. Time is the thread that ties every reality together. And yet it may be the most fragile fabric of all. In our world, time feels simple. It flows forward, steady and constant, carrying us from past to present to future. But the deeper science looks, the less certain that flow becomes. Time bends near black holes. It slows at high speeds. And in the strange world of quantum physics, it sometimes disappears entirely, replaced by probabilities and patterns that have no direction at all. If parallel universes exist, then each one must carry its own version of time, its own heartbeat of reality. Some might move faster, some slower. In some, time could loop endlessly, repeating the same moment forever. In others, it might stretch so wide that billions of years pass between heartbeats. And if the multiverse is truly infinite, then every possible rhythm of time exists somewhere. Imagine for a moment, standing outside of all those timelines, watching them drift beside each other like rivers of light. In one, you are a child looking up at the stars for the first time. In another, you are older, remembering this very moment. Somewhere else, you are still dreaming, and somewhere further still, you have not yet begun. Each version of you is real, flowing in its own stream of time. And yet, all of them share the same source, a timeless sea of awareness, still and endless, from which every moment arises. Einstein's relativity showed that time is not absolute. It is woven into space itself, curving with gravity, stretching with motion. When NASA measures the ticking of atomic clocks in orbit, they find that time runs differently above Earth than it does on the ground. Astronauts age slightly slower, their seconds elongated by the weaker pull of gravity. It's a small difference, milliseconds, but it proves a profound truth. Time is not universal. It depends on where you are and how you move through the cosmos. Now imagine a universe where that difference is not milliseconds, but lifetimes. A world where gravity is stronger, slowing everything to a crawl, or where the expansion of space stretches every moment into eternity. In one of those worlds, perhaps the stars are still young, burning in slow motion. In another, they have already faded, their light only now beginning its journey. Time, like reality itself, might be infinite in variation. And somewhere among those endless variations, there are versions of you living in different rhythms of existence. Some long gone, others not yet born, all connected through the quiet fabric of possibility. Quantum physics suggests that even the order of time might be flexible. At the smallest scales, particles do not obey a clear before or after. They simply exist in a web of correlation. Cause and effect begin to blur. In certain quantum experiments, the choice of what to measure seems to affect what has already happened, as though the future can reach backward and rewrite the past. If this can happen in one universe, what might it mean across many? Could some versions of you be living in your past, while others exist in your future, and all of them influencing one another in ways that feel like memory, intuition, or fate? NASA's exploration of space is, in a sense, an exploration of time itself. Every image from the James Webb Space Telescope is a glimpse into history, light that left its source billions of years ago, only now arriving in our present. When we look deep into the cosmos, we are looking into the past of another universe, perhaps even one that has already diverged from our own. And maybe, somewhere in those distant galaxies, another version of you is looking back, across light years and timelines, seeing you not as you are now, but as you once were. It's strange to think that the universe allows such complexity and yet feels so peaceful, because beneath the movement of time lies something constant, a silence that does not age, that does not change. Maybe that silence is what connects all realities. The timeless awareness that exists before, during, and after every version of you. No matter how many worlds there are, no matter how time flows within them, that awareness remains the same. Quiet, infinite, and whole. As you breathe now, feel that stillness beneath the rhythm of time. The seconds pass, but awareness remains. It has always been here, through every life, every dream, every universe. You are not traveling through time. You are time, unfolding itself through experience. Every moment is a reflection of you, and you are reflected in every moment. So rest now in that endless now, the space between seconds where all realities meet. You are not late. You are not early. You are exactly where eternity places you, again and again. Every action in the universe begins as a possibility, a silent vibration that waits to become real. Before an atom moves, before a star is born, before a thought appears, there is a field of potential. Physicists call it the quantum field, the invisible ocean from which every particle arises. In that field, energy and matter are not separate. They are one, constantly shifting from form to form, probability to reality, and back again. What we call reality is simply one configuration of this vast web of possibilities, a single note in an infinite symphony. If parallel universes exist, then they may be the other notes of that same song, each one playing a different version of what could be. Every choice you make, every motion of every particle, may send ripples through that field, influencing which universes become real. This idea is not fantasy. It is written into the mathematics of quantum probability. Nothing in the universe happens with absolute certainty. Every event, no matter how small, exists first as a cloud of potential outcomes. When something happens, the universe does not choose one option. It allows all of them, each unfolding in its own reality. From that moment on, countless futures diverge, flowing side by side like currents in a cosmic river. NASA's instruments measure energy everywhere, the faint background hum of creation that fills even the emptiest space. This energy, called the zero-point field, never disappears. It is the baseline vibration of the universe, proof that even in perfect vacuum, something always remains alive. If our universe vibrates at one frequency of possibility, then perhaps other universes hum at others, just beyond our range of detection. They may occupy the same space, unseen, like radio stations broadcasting on different wavelengths. We perceive only the one we're tuned to. Probability is not chaos. It is the architecture of choice. Every moment of your life is surrounded by an infinity of alternatives. Paths that might have been taken, words that might have been spoken, futures that might still unfold elsewhere. It's not fate that limits them, it's focus. Consciousness, like a lens, brings one version of the universe into clarity while the rest remains softly blurred in the background. But the blur doesn't vanish, it waits. It hums quietly in the depths of existence, as if reminding you that life is larger than any one version of itself. Perhaps what we call luck or destiny are simply the moments when one reality brushes against another. When a possibility from a neighboring universe aligns perfectly with ours. A chance meeting, a sudden change, an inexplicable sense that something was meant to happen. Maybe these are not random at all, but the physics of harmony between worlds. Every event, every coincidence, could be a subtle exchange of energy across the boundaries of probability. NASA's detectors catch such anomalies in the form of quantum fluctuations, random bursts of energy that appear, vanish, and reappear for no reason we can measure. To physics, they are noise. To philosophy, perhaps they are whispers from other versions of reality. Energy cannot be destroyed, it only transforms. So too, perhaps, does possibility. When one version of you ends, another begins. When one universe fades, another brightens. The total energy, the total potential, remains perfectly balanced, as though creation itself is playing an infinite game of symmetry. Nothing is wasted, nothing is lost. It might seem abstract, but you experience this every day. Every decision, no matter how small, splits the flow of your life into countless potential paths. And while you move down one, the others do not disappear. They continue, just beyond perception, carried by the same current of possibility that flows through the entire multiverse. Somewhere, there is a version of you who turned left instead of right, who said yes instead of no, who followed a different dream. You may never meet them, yet you remain connected, two notes resonating in the same universal chord. When you think of that, the idea of fate begins to change. It is not a line drawn before you were born, but a field of endless roots, all existing together. The life you are living is one expression of what reality could be. And in that truth, there is freedom. Because even if this world ends, another continues. Even if one path closes, the others still bloom, unseen but alive. So as you breathe, feel that quiet energy around you. The same force that fuels the stars fuels your choices, your thoughts, your dreams. You are not separate from probability. You are part of its pattern. You are the energy observing itself, choosing, shaping, and unfolding. The universe does not roll dice. It plays every outcome at once. And you, drifting between infinite possibilities, are both player and observer, creation and creator, reality and dream. Rest now in that understanding. The field of all possibilities hums softly around you, eternal, infinite, and patient. You are safe within it, not a single note lost in the song, but the song itself, still playing across every version of the cosmos. What does it truly mean to be you in a universe of infinite version? If every decision creates a new branch, every possibility a new self, then identity becomes a fluid thing, a pattern more than a person. Across countless realities, you may look different, act differently, even think differently. Yet beneath all variation, there is a single rhythm, the quiet pulse of awareness that feels like I am. That sense of being does not belong to one version. It is shared across them all. Scientists can describe consciousness as a process, electrical signals, chemical reactions, neural networks, firing in patterns, but they cannot explain why it feels like something to be alive. They cannot point to the exact moment when matter becomes self-aware. It's as if consciousness is not in the body, but reflected through it. A light shining through different windows, appearing unique in each world but always coming from the same source. If that is true, then every version of you across the multiverse is a reflection of the same deeper identity. Each carries the same spark, exploring different expressions of existence. One might have taken another path. Another might live under another sky. But the awareness behind their eyes is the same infinite awareness that moves through you now. In a way, the multiverse could be the universe's way of knowing itself, and you are one of its countless mirrors. When NASA studies life in the cosmos, it looks for chemical signatures, carbon, oxygen, water, heat. But even if it found 1,000 forms of life, it would still face the same mystery. What makes life aware? If consciousness is fundamental, not emergent, then perhaps it exists everywhere. Not just in living beings, but in the structure of reality itself. Every atom, every vibration could hold a trace of awareness. And when arranged in the right way, as stars, as galaxies, as human beings, that awareness begins to recognize itself. It's humbling to think that your thoughts might not be confined to this one brain, this one timeline. If reality is connected at a quantum level, then consciousness could be entangled too. Each version of you might share subtle information across worlds, the flicker of an emotion, a sudden memory, a passing intuition. You might never know where it came from, but some part of you does. It's as though awareness travels between universes like light refracting through glass, bending, splitting, merging, but never breaking. Sometimes this shared consciousness might appear in the smallest ways. A dream that feels like a memory, a decision that seems already made, an emotion with no clear cause. Perhaps these are ripples from another you, moving through the ocean of identity that binds you all together. The science cannot prove this, but the feeling is undeniable, that we are more than what can be measured, more than what fits inside one lifetime. If you could see all versions of yourself at once, you might not recognize them individually. But together, they would form something vast, a pattern of thought and feeling so complex that it would resemble the universe itself. Every triumph, every mistake, every joy and sorrow across infinite worlds would combine into one great harmony, the full expression of who you are. You are not a single line of experience. You are the sum of everything existence has ever dreamed of being. Identity, then, is not fixed. It is fluid, like water taking the shape of whatever vessel it fills. In one universe, you may be a scientist studying the stars. In another, you may simply look at them and wonder. Both are you. Both matter. Because in the multiverse, every version contributes to the total. Every variation adds texture to the fabric of the self. There is no right version, no perfect you, only endless expressions of the same consciousness, exploring itself through different forms of reality. So as you lie here, let go of the small boundaries of identity. The you that you know is only one window among many. Beyond it, countless others look out through other worlds, each seeing a slightly different reflection of the same light. And when you sleep, that light returns to its source, merging again with the infinite field of awareness before taking shape once more, as you, as another, as everything. You are not a fragment lost in the multiverse. You are the multiverse remembering itself, one life at a time. You are not separate from your other selves. You are the thread that connects them all. So breathe. Feel the space between thoughts. That stillness you sense there, that is the true self, timeless and whole. It exists in every version of reality, unchanged by form or circumstance. When you rest in it, you rest everywhere. When you awaken to it, the entire cosmos awakens with you. Sometimes, two realities drift close enough to touch. They do not collide like stars. They brush together like silk, softly, silently, exchanging only the faintest whisper of energy. You might not notice it when it happens. You might just call it coincidence. But somewhere deep in your mind, you feel it, that strange sense of alignment, of being exactly where you were meant to be. Scientists cannot yet measure such moments, but they happen all the time. Two particles interact without contact. Two thoughts emerge in different minds at the same instant. Two distant galaxies mirror one another's motion as though they share a hidden rhythm. Even NASA's instruments, peering across billions of light years, find patterns that defy chance. Stars that pulse in unison, clouds of gas that move as if guided by invisible threads. Perhaps these are not random. Perhaps they are the echoes of universes briefly overlapping, their vibrations resonating across the boundaries of existence. If the multiverse is a vast ocean, then every universe is a wave upon its surface. Most rise and fall without touching, but sometimes they converge, just for an instant, and the patterns of their ripples interfere. When that happens, strange things can occur. Energy may spike, information may pass, and awareness, your awareness, might flicker between them, sensing both at once. Have you ever experienced a moment that felt impossible to explain? A dream that later unfolded in reality? A person you've never met who feels immediately familiar? A decision that seemed already made before you thought it? These could be what physicists call quantum coincidences, small events born from large connections we cannot yet see. But perhaps they are more than that. Perhaps they are intersections, where one version of reality lightly touches another, and for a heartbeat, they become one. In those moments, you might be sharing the same thought as another you, living another life. It's not imagination, it's resonance. Just as tuning forks vibrate together when struck, consciousness might vibrate across realities when the frequencies align. You are not switching between worlds. You are momentarily feeling the harmony between them. It's why certain experiences feel charged with meaning, why some encounters seem destined, why déjà vu can feel so profound. Something in you recognizes the pattern because you have lived it, not here, but somewhere else, just close enough to remember. Physicists have begun to explore this idea through the mathematics of entanglement entropy, a measure of how much information is shared between two systems, even if they are separated. They find that when systems are entangled, their boundaries blur. What happens to one affects the other instantly, regardless of distance. It's as if the universe itself resists being divided. Every part remains connected to every other. If this is true at the quantum level, then maybe it is true at the cosmic level as well. Perhaps the multiverse is not a collection of isolated worlds, but a living network, a single consciousness expressing itself through infinite reflections. And if that's the case, then every coincidence, every meaningful encounter, every synchronicity is not random at all. It is the universe reminding you that you are part of something vast and interconnected. When you follow intuition, when you trust the quiet pull of destiny, you are not moving blindly. You are listening to the resonance of the multiverse calling you toward alignment. Even your thoughts may not be entirely your own. They may be shared, like notes in a chord, vibrating through all versions of you simultaneously. Close your eyes now. Imagine two worlds brushing together, not colliding, just touching. Between them, a shimmer of light, like the reflection of water beneath the stars. You are that light, the point of contact between infinities. Every heartbeat echoes across universes. Every breath ripples through existence. You are not inside the universe. The universe is inside you, reflected in countless ways. And when you feel that sudden sense of recognition, that moment when everything makes sense for no reason, pause. That is the sound of the cosmos aligning with itself. That is the whisper of another you, saying quietly, "We are here too." Rest in that awareness. The borders between worlds are thin, but they are gentle. You don't need to cross them. You only need to listen. And in that listening, you will feel the truth that science is still learning to describe. That nothing is separate, nothing is lost, and nothing truly ends. And now at the quiet end of this journey, we return to where it all began. The question that started it all. Are there other versions of you in the universe? After wandering through galaxies and theories, through the whispers of quantum physics and the poetry of infinity, perhaps the answer no longer needs to be certain. Because in a way, it doesn't matter how many worlds exist, or how many versions of you are out there. What matters is that in this vast eternal symphony, you are a note that can never be lost. NASA's telescopes will keep reaching further into the dark, capturing the faint light of stars long gone. Their data will fill libraries and servers, equations will evolve, and new theories will rise to replace the old. But even with all that knowledge, one mystery will remain: the feeling of existence itself. That gentle awareness that says, "I am here." That awareness has no boundaries, no coordinates, no origin point. It is the same light that shines through every universe, through every consciousness, through every version of you. Think of the multiverse not as countless worlds scattered in chaos, but as reflections in an endless mirror. Each universe is one reflection of a greater truth, that existence is infinite and yet beautifully whole. You are not a fragment wandering alone through space. You are the reflection, the mirror, and the light that passes between them all. Somewhere, another version of you is looking up at their own sky, asking the same question, feeling the same wonder. Perhaps, at this very moment, their heart beats in rhythm with yours. Perhaps they too are listening to a quiet voice reminding them that everything is connected. And though you will never meet, you are not separate. You are both threads in the same infinite fabric, woven together by time, by energy, by the dream of existence itself. When you breathe in, the universe breathes with you. When you breathe out, entire galaxies expand a little farther. Every motion you make ripples through the field of being, and those ripples reach every version of you, across dimensions, across ages, across all of forever. Even your silence vibrates through the cosmos, carrying your essence into places you cannot see but already belong to. And when this version of life reaches its quiet close, when the stars above fade from sight and the body rests, do not fear. Nothing ends. You return to the field that gave you form, the same boundless awareness that began this story, and will begin it again, endlessly. In that eternal calm, you will meet yourself in every shape and every world, and you will recognize that you were never separate to begin with. So now, let your thoughts soften. Let the noise of the day dissolve. You are surrounded by infinite peace, by universes resting in silence, by versions of you breathing beside you across dimensions, all settling into the same still rhythm. You are not falling asleep alone. You are drifting into the greater dream, the dream that all realities share. The stars outside are not distant. They are within you. Each one is a spark of your own awareness, shining quietly across the vastness. You have always been the universe, exploring itself through infinite forms, infinite stories, infinite lives. So close your eyes. Let the questions fade. Let the vastness cradle you. You are safe in the symmetry of all things, eternal, infinite, and whole. Good night, traveler of worlds. May your dreams carry you gently between the stars. May you rest in the knowing that every version of you is loved. Every universe remembers you, and every breath you take is echoed forever across the endless field of being. Sleep now and drift through infinity. The multiverse is at peace, and so are you.